Good morning, class. I am Dr. Su. Today, we will continue our discussion on the topics covered in Chapter 1 of the textbook, focusing specifically on the concept of value. In economics, value refers to the worth or importance that individuals assign to goods, services, or resources. It's a fundamental concept that underpins economic decision-making.
In the last lesson, we defined economics as the study of rational choice under conditions of scarcity. Now we will introduce a second definition of economics that may seem to have a little more to do with business. Economics is the study of the creation and distribution of value. To understand the importance of this definition, you need to know what an economist means by the term value. And value sometimes becomes a bit of a squishy concept. We know what it is, but it's hard to measure in some cases, and therefore seems difficult to define. Value is simply the difference between the benefit of an activity and the cost of that activity. It's a kind of measure of profit or extra satisfaction. For instance, suppose I sell bread in my bakery. If I can sell my bread for $5 and the cost of producing the bread is $3, then I'm creating $2 worth of profit. In some sense, that $2 worth of profit is the value of the bread, but it's a little more subtle than that. Suppose you have an apple, and I come along and offer to trade you your apple for my peach. Would you do the trade? Sure you would if you like the peach more than the apple. The trade has a benefit and a cost for you. The benefit is you get a peach. The cost is you give up an apple. The apple is the opportunity cost of the peach. The benefit from the peach is weighed against the cost of parting with your apple. Value is created if you like the peach more, because then the benefit is greater than the cost. But exactly how much value is created by this trade? In order to know how much value is created, we need some kind of yardstick, some way of measuring benefits and costs. And one way that we can do that is to use money as the yardstick, to assign dollar values to benefits and to costs. Suppose you think the peach is worth $1. That is, you would be willing to spend $1 on this peach. And suppose the apple is worth 40 cents to you. That is a measure of the satisfaction you would get from eating the apple. If I trade you your apple for my peach, you're getting a benefit that you value at $1. And the opportunity cost is the 40 cents worth of satisfaction that you would have received from the apple. $1 worth of benefit minus 40 cents worth of cost means that we have created 60 cents worth of value for you when you trade the apple for the peach. See, putting a dollar value on things allows us to measure economic value in a concrete way. But this sometimes will require us to put dollar values on things that we might resist. For instance, what is the benefit that you get from working at your job? Well, I get a salary and I can use that to buy toys. Well, a good approximation of the benefit you get from your job is the dollar value that you're paid for your work there. The paycheck that you receive might be a good approximation of the benefit you get from working at the job. Now, what about the cost of working at the job? Well, the cost is you're not spending time with your family and friends. How would you put a dollar value on that opportunity cost? Well, you can imagine that we sit you down at a table and say, look, you can spend time with your family or friends, or you can go to work. And you say, well, I think I'd rather go to work if the salary's right. And I say, well, what salary would make you not care whether you work or stay home with your friends? And you cite a number. And the number lets me know the amount of money that you would be willing to accept in exchange for coming to work rather than being with your friends. If I'm careful about the way I structure this experiment, I can find a dollar value that I consider your price or your cost for giving up your time with your friends. I can put a dollar value on it by seeing how you behave. I ask you to go out with me for a pizza, and you say, no, sorry, I have to work this afternoon. I found out that you're only making $5 working this afternoon, so I know that you'd rather have $5 than spend the afternoon with me with a pizza. Well, that tells me something about how you value this opportunity. The point is, once we can assign dollar values to things, it becomes very easy to calculate economic value. The value of the benefit, or the economic number, the dollar value of the benefit, minus the dollar measure of the cost, gives us some kind of profit left over, and that's called economic value. Let's consider another case. Suppose I'm baking bread, and I can sell it for $5 a loaf. Well, what is the opportunity cost of my baking a loaf of bread? I've got milk, eggs, and flour, all of these resources that I'm using, and they all have other uses. They have opportunity costs. If the price of eggs is a good measure of the opportunity cost of eggs, that is, someone is willing to pay 50 cents for my egg that I'm about to use in a loaf of bread, that tells me that the egg is worth 50 cents to him. Rather than put the egg in my loaf of bread, I could give it to him to make an omelet, and the 50 cents that he's willing to pay is a good measure of the opportunity cost of the egg. After all, I could have the 50 cents if he has the omelet, so I'm giving up 50 cents in order to make this loaf of bread using this egg. What about my own labor? My own labor has an opportunity cost. I could be at home watching television or outside playing with my children. In that case, I would be enjoying another activity rather than using my labor to make bread. Well, what dollar value would I put on those foregone opportunities? That is a measure of the opportunity cost of my labor. If I'm making bread, then there are several factors of production that go into this business. There is labor, there is the land that my store sits on, there are all of the resources like milk, flour, and eggs that I'm using to produce the bread. There is also the capital, the money that I borrowed to make my operation run, the money that I borrowed to build the store and to buy the resources before I've been able to sell the bread. There's also what we call entrepreneurship. If I'm the owner of this business, I'm taking a risk and bringing my talent in to help the business run well. There's an opportunity cost to that also. I could have peace of mind rather than being worried about whether my business is going to succeed. I could use my talent making art or writing stories instead of running a business. So entrepreneurship also has an opportunity cost. If you add up the opportunity costs of all the resources that are used in the production of bread, you have the opportunity cost of the production of bread. If you subtract the opportunity cost from the benefits of the loaf of bread that you're creating, you have the economic value of that bread. The economic value, the difference between the benefit and the cost of producing it. Well, who gets that economic value? That's a good question. Who gets the bonus? Who gets the gravy? The gravy can be spread over all of the resources. I might decide that I'm going to pay myself as an entrepreneur a very, very large bonus over and above the opportunity cost of my time and talent. That means the entrepreneur is getting that economic profit in the form of a bonus or extra profit. It could be that the person who owns the land that I'm sitting on has some power over me and charges me an extra high rent. In that way, the landowner is getting a share of the economic profit by demanding a higher payment for the land than he could demand for someone else. If I am using capital and people are putting their money at risk in my business, I may decide to give these capital owners some extra bonus from having taken the risk. If I pay them more than their opportunity cost, I'm sharing the economic profit with them. Economic profit is the difference between the benefit of an activity and its opportunity cost. And that economic profit will be created anytime you create something of value. But who gets the economic profit depends on the way the business is organized. It depends on how competitive the markets are for labor and capital. It depends on how specialized particular skills are that the entrepreneur brings into the business. The important thing to know at this point is the concept of economic value, the difference between benefits and cost. Anytime economic value is created, economists are usually pleased. This is the thing that we're trying to make more of, whether we're making it through trades, like the apple for the peach, or whether we're making it through the production of goods like the bread, where the benefit is greater than the opportunity cost of production. Economics is about figuring out when and where value is created and who gets the value in the form of benefits beyond their opportunity costs.